Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and welcome to LifeSpa.com, where we prove ancient medical wisdom with modern science. And today, I want to talk about vigor, energy, vitality. You know, in Ayurvedic medicine, the word vigor means ojas. And ojas is the most precious substance in the body that supports energy, vitality, endurance, stamina, muscular strength, cognitive function, vitality, vigor, and happiness and joy. It's like a really important thing. In Ayurvedic medicine, there's like foods that build ojas. And I want to talk about those in just a second. There's foods that build vigor. But when you dig into Western science, you try to find out where does the vigor come from. And interestingly, that vigor comes from every single tiny cell teamed up to create electrical energy. That electrical energy is made by what's called the sodium-potassium pump. Sodium is pushed out of the cell, while potassium is taken into the cell. And sodium has a 3+ charge, and potassium has a 1+ charge. So when they transfer sodium out, potassium in, there's 1 charge left over, which gives you electrical energy. That gives you about 1/10 of a volt per little tiny muscle cell in your muscle. Okay? Now, if you lined them all up and created a lot of those together, which is in your muscle cell, and about 1 inch of your own muscle cells delivers a whopping 200,000 volts. This is how electrically charged we are inside of this body. It's quite amazing. Now, because there's always going to be more sodium inside in the cell trying to get out, it creates another electrical charge, and that's called the sodium battery. Positive and negative charges create a battery. And that's what happens. And I've written the details in the article that shows you this video if you want to read more about it. But when you put that, what's called the sodium battery, together with the cellular membrane potential, the potassium-sodium pump, pound for pound, humans make more electricity than a nuclear power plant. That is vigor. That is a whopping amount of vitality. And I was sort of interested. So here's the bottom line here. To recharge that sodium-potassium pump, to help your body make the vigor, make the electrical current that we need to drive every single function of our body, in particular heart health. We all know potassium is really important for heart health. Most folks need about 4 to 6 times more potassium in their diet than they do sodium. Okay? Now we've all heard sodium's bad for you. Don't eat more. Don't eat salt. Don't add salt. But now we're being told, eat good salt, eat good salt. Well, it's really not so much the amount of salt that you eat or don't eat. It's really literally the amount of potassium that we eat. When you look at the hunter-gatherers, they got about 7,000 to 11,000 milligrams of sodium, potassium in their diet every single day. That's a huge amount of potassium. The average American gets about 1,300 milligrams of potassium in diet today, and the RDA is 4,700. Most folks never come even close to that. And as I'm going to write about in more articles coming soon, and please tune into this because I think this is critically important, I'm going to write about how that sodium-potassium pump and understanding that ratio supports lymphatic health, heart health, vascular health. It all boils down to what's happening at the cellular level. And the most fundamental basic cellular level, we're dumping sodium salt out and potassium in. That's what's happening. And if you don't have enough potassium in your diet, that breaks down, and your ability to produce vigor, your ability to produce ojas, breaks down even more significantly. That makes sense? So we should all be thinking, and in the article associated with this video, I give you a list of all the potassium-rich foods and a list of all the sodium-rich foods, and you can try to figure out how many more times you have of potassium foods than sodium foods, and it should be about 4 to 6 times, okay? Now, I thought what's really interesting, which I talk about in the article as well, is that the ojas building foods in Ayurveda so happen to be super high in potassium and super low in sodium. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the ratio between your sodium and your potassium. So if a food had, 100 grams of potassium and it had 50 grams of sodium, then you have 2 times more potassium than you would have sodium. So we're looking for 4 times, okay? or 6 times. That's what we're shooting for. So I want to read to you some of the amounts of potassium versus sodium in the Ojas building foods. And if you've read any of my articles about Ojas building foods, we have a formula called the Ojas Nightly Tonic, which has all these foods in it. It just so happens to be, it's a powerful potassium boost. Like, who knew? But when you dive down to the cellular level, they're all about it in Ayurvedic medicine. They understood how to keep each cell delivering the right amount of electrical current, the right amount of vigor, the right amount of Ojas, so we could stay healthy for the long haul. Okay? So dates, one of the classic Ojas builders in Ayurvedic medicine. 518 milligrams of potassium, 1 milligram of sodium. Almonds, 773 milligrams of potassium and 4 milligrams of sodium, right? Just huge differences that we eat a lot of dates and almonds, and all of a sudden you can eat some cheese which has a little salt in it and get away with it because you still have these super potassium, super vigor, super Ojas building foods, right? Pretty cool, right? Coconut, classic Ojas builder, 256 milligrams of potassium, 23 milligrams of sodium. Saffron, one of my favorites. You don't take very much of it, but we're talking 35 milligrams of potassium to just 3 milligrams of sodium. Honey is 51 milligrams of potassium to just 5 milligrams. Milk, whole milk, is continually classically a Ojas building food, which has 342 milligrams of potassium and 120 grams of sodium. Goat's milk, even a little bit better, 439 to 83, which is pretty cool. Ghee, we all know ghee is really Ojas building, and that has 13.6 to 6.2 milligrams of sodium. Pretty interesting, and there's more. Those are the sort of the classic super duper Ojas builders that I just mentioned that are all about building Ojas and vigor and restoring vitality when people are really run down. And that's exactly what the potassium pump needs. More potassium to drive more electricity, from more cell, more electricity, more energy, more vitality, more vigor, more happiness, more joy. When your battery is not charged, you can't start your car. It's really, sort of very interestingly that simple. Other foods that are Ojas builders, that are also the highest sources of potassium on the planet, are your whole foods. Beans, vegetables, fruits, berries, nuts, seeds, and whole grains are all your potassium-rich foods. And if they're natural and they're not processed, they're absolutely Ojas builders as well. So those whole foods are all your Ojas builders. And the meats are the ones that are sort of either high in sodium or somewhat even between sodium and potassium. And you can read the details about that. But this may explain why vegetarians, whether it be a lacto-ovo vegetarian, a vegan, vegetarian, or even a pescatarian, they all seem to do better in terms of their health than meat eaters do. Meat eaters just don't do that well, and there's a lot of hard science to back that up. So, and I'm not saying all meat's bad. I mean, one of the studies showed that even if you eat red meat one time a month, you actually get these benefits that I'm talking about. But all those folks that aren't eating meat all day long, or a lot of the times, or 2 times a day, or whatever, they're eating more fruits and vegetables, and they're getting more potassium in their diet. They're getting more Ojas building foods in their diet, and therefore charging those pumps, the potassium, the sodium potassium pumps, and they're charging the sodium battery to drive the electrical current, the vigor, the energy in our body that we need to stay healthy for a very long, long life, which was Ayurvedic prescription to build Ojas. And it just turns out that these Ojas building foods just happen to be the high potassium foods. I'm going to write a lot more articles, and please stay tuned. This is an extremely interesting link between ancient wisdom and modern science, which we write about here. And I want to talk about heart health and circulatory health and blood pressure and all types of issues that come along with potassium deficiencies, which are significantly a problem in our culture, as I talked about in this video. So please check out this article at LifeSpa.com. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for more. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Do you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe and share.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at LifeSpa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.